Oh, hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Happiness. So excited to be back with you guys, and I'm so excited to be feeling better. Because even last week when I recorded my episode, I still was not feeling up to par. Like it took so long to get over that flu. And I think I'm finally on the other side of it now, but holy shit, it was rough. So I am happy to be back, and I hope this episode is going to be better than my last one since I am feeling better today. Um, and everything happens for a reason. I think I mentioned this on my last episode. I was in such a fog still with that episode. But I feel like the flu was like a short-term suffering for long-term gain because I quit smoking cigarettes. It's so exciting. Like I'm so excited about this. I don't taste good anymore. They're so nasty all of a sudden. I mean, obviously they're always nasty, but I didn't realize it because I was addicted to them, and now it's just a lot better. So, oh gosh, I got something on my tooth. Okay. If you're on my YouTube, like I just really had some like parsley on my tooth from dinner tonight. So anyway, gosh, I can't believe I just did that right on camera. If you're watching the visuals of this on YouTube, but thankfully not many people are over there. Most people are listening to this on the podcast, so that is better. So, what do we want to talk about today? So I'm thinking I feel like talking about spiritual awakening. I feel like going a little bit more woo-woo because I love to talk about woo-woo shit. And I feel like this is kind of the journey that so many people are on right now. And I feel like it's our soul's journey, the hero's journey, whatever you want to call it, is to go through a spiritual awakening. Now, that doesn't mean that we're all going to go through that in this lifetime. And sorry, my dog sees something outside. Hey, Chloe, hush, hush. All right, sorry, guys. That doesn't mean that we're all going to go through it in this lifetime. So it might be, future lifetimes. Our souls have to evolve and have to grow. So, but I do believe that the purpose of our journey is to come to Earth and forget who we are so we can then remember who we are. So, what is a spiritual awakening? I guess I should explain that. If you're listening to this and you found me, I have a feeling that energetically you're already like you're probably already on this journey. And you probably already kind of have researched it and know a little bit what it's about. But just in case you haven't, I'm going to explain what it is. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry. I had to pause this because my dog was like flipping out, seeing something outside. So, a spiritual awakening is just a remembrance of who we are. It is a remembrance of our soul. Um, it's understanding that the world is a lot bigger than just us, that there's more than meets the eye, that there is more than just this 3D reality, which 3D reality is what we see in our everyday lives, right? And having a spiritual awakening just opens us up to understanding that there's so much more around us. There's like spirit guides around us. There's our soul. We learn how to listen to our soul a little bit more. We learn that we have an ego brain, which is like just the human part of our brain. And then we also learn that we have a higher self, which is our soul. We have soul lessons, is where we start to understand soul contracts, which is basically just the understanding that we sign up for everything that we are coming here to do. We sign up for the lessons we're going to learn. We sign up for the people who we are born to, the siblings we have, the friendships we have. We sign up for the families that we're born into. We do that because we decide before we ever come to this earth what lessons are going to help our soul evolve in this lifetime. And so we have to sign up for who we're going to incarnate with, right? The soul family we're going to have, the parents, the siblings, the friends, all of that, and what our big lessons are going to be. And so like understanding all that is part of the spiritual awakening. You understand synchronicities, you understand that everything happens for a reason. You do understand that there are past lives. Now, past lives are a little tricky. A lot of people still aren't sure whether they believe in them, and that's fine. I was not sure about past lives either. I think I've seen so much now that I do believe that we are constantly have different lives. Like we've had thousands of lifetimes that we've lived. Um, But then again, that also begs the question that time is irrelevant, right? Time is an illusion. So past lives are all going on at the same time. It's all going on right here and here and now. And I know it gets really woo-woo and it's very confusing. So I'm not going to go too far into that because it can get very confusing, when you talk about timeline jumping and, there's different versions of me living on this earth right now in different places and all of the things. And maybe I don't know if my audience is completely ready for that yet. So we'll just hold off on it, but just understand that a spiritual awakening is all of that. A spiritual awakening is also healing. So, that's what a lot of people don't understand is that spiritual awakenings are fucking magnificent, right? They're amazing. Like I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm so happy that my soul decided to awaken in this lifetime, that I am alive and on earth right now because it's a very beautiful time to be alive. But I will also say, it's not for the faint of heart. So there's actually a meme that goes around. It was going around, and it's been a few years ago now. And it was this meme on like Facebook. And what it was it said the word something like around the lines of what people think a spiritual awakening is. And it had like this like rainbow with all these butterflies and like this pretty light and all these things. And then on the other side of it, was like one of those half and half ones, So then on the other side, it said what a spiritual awakening really is, and it showed this like little kid on a roller coaster with his mouth open, like he was screaming. Um, and that kind of goes to show like what it really is. Now, doesn't mean it's not beautiful, right? It's still fucking beautiful. But having a spiritual awakening also involves healing. This is a part of us. It involves understanding our traumas, understanding our the bad shit that we've done, understanding like that we might not have always been the greatest people, understanding our flaws, understanding our weaknesses as well as our strengths, right? Understanding that we still need to love ourselves, even though that we have all of these things that we might have done in the past, and understanding that everything that we did in the past was always meant to be. It was part of our soul lessons, part of our soul contracts to come here. Understanding that every relationship we've had, all of those things that was part of the soul lesson. Being able to forgive, being able to have that forgiveness for ourselves, like forgiving ourselves and forgiving other people. Because it was just like we understand that the world is so much more grand, so much bigger, right? And right now we have such a massive spiritual awakening happening on the planet. So, you know, this is something that I find very interesting. So I'm going to kind of talk about like how the spiritual awakenings have kind of went through time. So, um, we kind of go through these big spiritual awakenings in groups and in different years. And they actually coincide with election years, which is I think is really kind of interesting when I started diving into that. The first one I think that a lot of people talk about that are alive today, it was kind of like in 2008. The people were starting to wake up. I was not awake. I was still completely asleep back then, but a lot of other people were starting to wake up. The next one was 2012. You hear a lot of people, a lot of authors and stuff that have wrote books will talk about their awakenings that were happening in 2012. The next really big one was around 2017. Now, this was a huge one. This was a lot of people, and there's a lot of teachers out there who talk about their awakenings back in 2017. Again, these go with election cycles, right? Um, and then so that was 2017. Then again, we had 2020, right? 2020 to 2021 election cycle, sure, but also the pandemic. We had COVID happen, right? This is when I had my awakening, and this was when a lot of people really, this was when the mass awakening really began to happen. So we had COVID happen, and then now 2024, we have, well, actually 2025, I guess now, but we have another mass awakening happening on the planet. So why does it go with election cycles? I don't know. I just find it very interesting that it does. Um, it's just really wild to me. But what I also think is really wild, and it's not really wild, but it's just really cool to think about, is we're raising the more people awaken spiritually, the more the vibrations on the planet raise. And that is why more and more people are waking up because we are generating energy. Everything is energy, and we are generating energy to the rest of the world. And that is causing the vibrations to raise and causing other people to wake up. The kind of the bad thing about it is there's a thing called the lonely light worker, right? So there's a lot of people, a light worker is basically just somebody who's here to raise the vibrations on the planet and help raise humanity and all of those things. Well, the problem is a lot of us get very lonely because it's the internet is a beautiful thing now. And it's really awesome because we have a lot of people on the internet we can connect with and different groups that we can meet like amazing people there. But to have people in our town and like close vicinity to us, it's really hard to find those people. Why is that? Well, we are kind of dispersed for a reason because if they put all of us in one area and we were all waking up at the same time, the earth is going to be unbalanced. So you're going to have one side of the earth, so you might have the East Coast, right? Or you might have like Ohio or New York, or you might have this one area that everybody's waking up and the vibrations are raising. But then you might have over here in Pennsylvania or down in Florida or somewhere else, like nobody's waking up. So the vibrations, the earth is going to be imbalanced. So you have to disperse these different people all throughout the country, all throughout the world, so that we can help raise the vibrations of the entire universe, of the entire planet, right? So I don't know. It's really, really cool to think about, but it also is that's why sometimes you feel alone and you feel like you don't have anybody close to you that you can talk to. Um, However, this is changing because the vibrations of the planet are have like they're raising so frequently, and there's such a mass spiritual awakening happening right now that a lot of the loneliness is kind of going away because we're running into more and more people who are spiritually awakened. Um, so I'm trying to think if I should go into I'm not going to go into the dark night of the soul right now, I don't think, but just understand that that is part of the spiritual awakening. The dark night of the soul is where it's an ego death. So the human brain, the human part of you begins to die, and it does feel like death. And it feels because that part of you is dying. That's all I'm going to say about it because I can get really tricky and I just don't know where some of my audience is right now because I don't know you well enough yet. And I haven't really seen the reviews or people reaching out to me to let me know. So I'm going to stop it right there. But if you guys are interested in hearing more about the Dark Night of the Soul, let me know, and I will absolutely talk about that with you. And I'm going to talk about it eventually anyway. It's just I'm just not doing it right this minute. It's also kind of late here on a Sunday, and I got to get this out and ready for tomorrow. So. One thing I do want to talk about though is when you go through a spiritual awakening, one of the things that can happen is you can develop a couple things. You can spiritually bypass, which means that you just want to be positive and you just want to live in the love and the light, and you want to bypass all of the negativity and the negative feelings. This is called spiritually bypassing. This will work for a while, but eventually it's going to catch up to you and you're going to have to heal your shit. Like, there's no way around it. In order to continue evolving, you have to heal your shit. Okay. That's one thing. The other thing that can happen, and this actually happened to I did the spiritual bypassing stuff, but I also did this next thing, and that is, and I hate to say that I admit that I did this, but I did. You start to kind of believe that you're better than others. Not like, how do I explain this? You just because you start to look at other people around you. And what it is it's more of a frustration. Like, you are so frustrated, especially when it comes to people that you care about and have been friends with for years. And you start to look at them and you realize they're not nearly like even close to being awakened yet. They're not spiritually awakened. They're still, stuck in their traumas. They're still stuck in their toxic relationships. They might say things like, "Oh, I've healed so much over the past year," but you look at them and you're like, "No, you really haven't because you're still stuck in that toxic relationship and you still don't love yourself." Like, because you begin to develop as you begin to awaken spiritually, you also begin to develop kind of some psychic type abilities. Not I hate to say psychic because I don't really know if it's psychic, but it's like more to like telepathic abilities, and you can actually feel other people's energy, and you can really like you can almost read their thoughts in a way, like not completely reading their thoughts. That might be the bad term, I don't know, but you do start to develop this, and so you can kind of tell just by being around people and feeling their energy how much they've healed, where they are on their journey. And it's more about being frustrated, I think, than it is about thinking you're really better than them. It's like more of just being frustrated because they're not even close to waking up yet, but yeah, they might think that they kind of are, or they might think that like they've done all this healing. They might not know it's called a spiritual awakening, and they just might talk about like I have a friend actually that has I've had to deal with this with who will talk about all the healing she's done and and all of these things, but yet she's stuck in a very toxic relationship. It's very obvious to me. It's very obvious she doesn't love herself. It's very obvious, a lot of those things are obvious to me. And for the longest time, like it was so frustrating for me because I just wanted to shake her and be like, just wake the fuck up. But the thing is, everybody's on their own journey. And not everybody's meant to wake up in this lifetime. Now, yes, we do have a mass spiritual awakening happening, and a lot of people are going to wake up, but not everybody's ready. And I can't even tell you how to have a spiritual awakening. Like, I mean, there are some tricks and tips that you could do to try and help yourself along the path. Doing meditation and prayer and talking to spirit guides is going to help. A Course in Miracles, which is a self-study book. I'm not going to go into it all right now, but it's a mind retraining 360 5-day mind retraining. I kind of like to refer to it. It's like the Bible, but less scary. It's an amazing tool. There's lots of books, there's podcasts. You can start the healing journey and start doing these things, meditating, talking to your spirit guides, journaling, healing your shit, learning how to manage your emotions. Hire the coaches, read the books, listen to the podcast, do all of those things. Those are going to help you go through this spiritual awakening. Sometimes you're going through it and you don't even realize you're going through it. If you're a lot of times your life is falling apart, and that is the start of your spiritual awakening because things have to fall apart so that they can be rebuilt, so that you can rebuild yourself. And that is what a spiritual awakening is also. But sometimes you might not realize it at the beginning. So, doing these things I just mentioned can help you to kind of have that awakening process happen. And let me tell you, I mean, it's a wild fucking ride. Like it's super, super cool. But I just wanted to kind of make this episode and talk about it and just give you like the basics in layman terms. And I also just wanted to talk a little bit about like nobody's better than anybody else. So, yes, I did go through that. And yes, I did think that I remember thinking I was kind of better than people, but it's not about being better. And it wasn't that so much. It was like just my ego thinking like I would look at people like, oh, well, they're not awake yet. And I'm so awakened and they're not. And that would lead me to almost thinking like I was, like I said, I was better. And I wasn't because everybody's on their own journey. And um, you know, maybe it's just not their time yet. And no matter what, we just have to realize that we're all one with God and we're all one with the universe. And we nobody's better than anybody else. And just because other people aren't awake yet, all we can do is be there for them and love them and raise our vibrations when we're around them and just pray for them. And it's okay if you have to separate from people. It's okay if there are certain people that you can't be around because when you first go on down the spiritual path, it is really, really hard to be around people who are not awakened yet. It's very, very difficult. I dealt with this. I was on my spiritual path and I still chose to go on a girls' trip. I still chose to hang around people who I knew were not on the spiritual path, who I knew were very far from being awakened, who I knew weren't there yet. But I was trying and struggling and like trying to just stick with them because this had been my group of friends for so many years. And I eventually had to realize, well, I didn't really realize it. Like the universe separated us, which was like going out in a blaze of glory kind of thing. Um, but I was getting all the signs that I wasn't meant to be with these people anymore because they just our lives had taken two different paths and they weren't on the same path. And again, this doesn't mean that anybody's worse or anybody's better. It just means that like sometimes friends come into your life or relationships come into your life for a season. Sometimes they're not meant to be forever. They're just there to help you grow or to mirror something back to you or whatever it is. And sometimes when that lesson is over, you have to let them go. And it's okay to do that. And sometimes they'll come back to you, and other times the friendship or the relationships are over completely. And just understand that no matter what happens, it's all okay. It's all for the greater good. And when you can understand that everything is happening for a reason, and when you can see the blessing and the lesson that the universe is giving you, it's really fucking beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it's honestly just a really beautiful time to be alive right now. There's a lot of things you see it on the big stage, the political stuff that we're seeing, the truths that are coming out. If you watch the news, which I have to limit myself, I just got rid of my live TV, so I don't really watch the news, because I can get very consumed by it. But, when we see what everything that's coming out in the world, and all of the secrets and the lies that we're all finding out that we've known about for years, that is part of the mass awakening that's happening. That is part of this us moving into the age of Aquarius, which is just an age of harmony and bliss and love. And that's where we're moving into. It's kind of like heaven on earth. And what we're seeing right now and all of the bad shit that we're seeing that's coming out, that's a part of it. And that we have to go through that. And we have to see that. We also just had our first Pluto return in the United States, which I'm going way far off. I'm going to talk about astrology later on in different episodes. But Pluto is the planet of transformation and secrets coming out. And we just had our first return. Pluto returned to the United States, and that was a huge thing. And so a lot of the things we've seen for the last 15 years was part of that. So I know I'm probably going way over your head at this point. I just get very excited to talk about this stuff, and I definitely think I need to talk about astrology with you guys because there's a lot there to delve into. So just know, you're not alone. If your life feels like it's falling apart right now, and you don't know where to turn, just understand that it could just be that you're on a spiritual path, and just pray and turn to a higher power. There's a higher power greater than us, and whether you can call that higher power anything you want. You can call it God, the universe, Jesus, Buddha, like higher self, spirit guides, whatever you want to call that higher power. But that higher power that created all of us, he sent, she, whoever it is, this big energy ball of light that created us, you know, sent different spirits to help us on our path. Okay, we're not alone. We're not alone. And all you have to do is look for the signs, ask for a sign, look for the angel numbers. And honestly, if you knew who walked beside you, you would never be afraid again. And that is what I want to leave you with. Just remember that. If you knew who walked beside you, you would never, ever be afraid again. It's pretty fucking beautiful. So, okay, I've rambled enough. I'm gonna let you all go. This will be coming out in the morning, and I gotta get this all ready to go for you guys. And yeah, if you want to hear more episodes like this, let me know. Please hit the subscribe button because you'll find out every time I upload a new episode, which is every Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. But this way, you'll always have, it'll give you little notifications. Please leave me a review because it'll help more people find this. And I think we all need to stick together and we need to elevate the vibrations of the planet. And we need to help people on this journey that we call life, this spiritual journey that so many of us are on. So please, please, please just give me a review and let me know what you think. And yeah, you can connect with me on Facebook if you want to hit me up and send me messages. You can follow me there. I don't usually accept friend requests if I don't know people because there's so much spam, but you can DM me and you can hit the follow button. So until next time, I love you guys so much and have a marvelous, marvelous day. Mwah!